here another night. Just speak up. And we've got the Rotary Doc in the house. What's up, Rotary Doc?
Yo, how's it going?
Oh,
You got me?
just enjoying the day to the best of my ability.
Hell yeah.
So, do you know what the topic is for the night, Rotary Doc?
I do not. I do not.
All right. Would you like to know what the topic is tonight,
You know,
Rotary Doc?
I suppose I would. Do you hear me?
Okay, we are good to go, Rotary. You
All right.
are being heard.
Awesome. That'll
Yep.
work.
You didn't hear a echo in the background, huh?
Congratulations, well done.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Me? Sorry, I never
Congratulations.
know if you're talking to me or TikTok, but
It's all you, man. It's just me
okay.
and you
Yes.
because we are
Yeah, I
live
can.
right now on Rumble and on YouTube and on Facebook. You could find them all at Jah Bless I. Jah Bless I. And don't forget to come check it out. So, everybody on TikTok, thanks for being in here. I see my dude Crystal Palace at the moment, who has entered me as a co-host. I cannot hear you right now, Crystal, because I am on Rumble and YouTube, and I am about to tell the Rotary Dog what tonight's topic is. So, for everybody listening, today's topic is the issues for the common man. Your common issues for the common man that's happening every day. What do you think about that, Rotary?
What do I think about that? Well, that should be an interesting topic. I suppose that could be a pretty expansive one. I suppose. Do you have kind of an inclination as to a certain kind of genre of that type of thing you're looking to discuss, or?
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that you brought that up because it's very broad and we could go on
Oh yeah,
for days,
forever.
literally,
Yeah.
with something like this.
Right.
But I'm thinking about the systemic issues. So the system that we utilize as human beings as a form of life or a way of living and how it
Yeah.
strains the common person, how it so for instance, you've got people that they call middle class, right? And
Right.
these so-called middle class people make just enough to not get free healthcare and food stamps or EBTs or whatever you want to call it these days. And um, they have the worst kind of benefits that you could have, where you pay $200 a month for one person, and then every time you go to the doctor, you have to pay all of the bill before you reach $8,000 for the year, and then they'll start paying.
Yeah.
So the individual is sitting at home with issues that they don't want to go see the doctor for because who knows how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah. That is certainly a good example. Um, I suppose another kind of sort of a little bit, I don't know if off topic, but unrelated to that, the whole thing wherein you theoretically can get your license taken away for a whole number of different things, and some of that stuff is like, yeah, okay, that's probably a good idea, right? Some of it not so much. Like for example, in the state that I lived in prior to Iowa, Illinois. Lived there for about 3 years. I was pulled over and given a ticket for having a modified exhaust on one of my cars, and well, at the time my only car, but and they can take your license over there for just about anything, and they do that sometimes. And the problem with that is if somebody loses their license and that person is an adult person with adult responsibilities, and perhaps not another reliable form of transportation to rely on, or they just have a complicated enough life that it's like you got to get to work somehow and you got to get other places somehow. That can be a real problem for people. Like I've known a handful of people who simply like don't have really a choice in that. It's like don't have a license, but what am I going to do? Not gonna not go to work? Am I going to not take my kids to school? This and that. And um, so yeah, that's
So, in both of these scenarios, it could be a single parent that
yeah,
can barely pay rent in a high cost living area, and they share a room, the one parent and the 2 children. They don't got a license. They
yeah.
don't have good benefits. What are they gonna do?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And so, like, and part of the reason I mentioned specifically the exhaust thing is it's like the violation is like excessive noise, something that theoretically could be an old car that has like a rusted out exhaust, but is otherwise drivable. You get pulled over for that. They issue a citation, and then you have to go to court. It's a mandatory court thing. They can decide to just suspend your license at that point. And so somebody essentially could lose their license because they had some not entirely essential, not safety related piece of equipment on a car that was malfunctioning that they couldn't afford to fix previously. All of a sudden, now they don't have a license either. Um, so, yeah.
So, what do you think about this comment? We need the private sector to get involved to help, but that will be hard. So, that is a comment from Rumble, and I would
It
invite
is.
anybody and everybody to start typing in your comments because you are the common man. To all you ladies and gentlemen out there, I'm talking to you. What are some of the issues that you're going through on a day-to-day basis that's rough sometimes, you know? I know, we all say we like our job and we go to work 40 hours a week and we're all happy because we've got this great job, but I mean, is it really that great? Do you really want to be doing it or are we just doing it because we have to? Because we have to make money, because we've got to pay that ticket, that citation for the loud exhaust, or your back really hurts and you've got some other issues and you go to the doctors and you've got to pay the bill. Or wait, do you have to pay the bill these days? That's actually a good question as well. Do you really have to pay your doctor bill?
I think they changed something recently to where now that stuff doesn't like show up on credit reports, but that financial entity can still like take you to court over that, garnish your wages, etc. Like it is still legally binding debt. It just doesn't happen to affect credit score anymore.
Oh, I'm glad that I asked that because
Yeah.
why not just go to the doctors and then not pay?
Right.
I mean, but then again, you could do that with all your credit cards as well. Believe me, been there,
Yeah.
done that.
You could. Yeah.
I've actually got tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, and guess what? They're all gonna get wiped off my record real soon here.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I got letters in the mail, "Oh, we'll wipe your $30,000 debt for 2 payments of $1,000," and I'm like, "Why?" In about a year and a half, that's gonna be 7 years, and if I'm not mistaken, after 7 years, it drops off.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe you're correct on that. Well, at least I think the reporting on the credit end of that drops off. So functionally, yeah, it's like who cares? But yeah, those letters you get in the mail, it's like the debt gets sold off to a debt collection agency for like pennies on the dollar, and then they're just attempting to recuperate whatever they spent buying that debt, and then make a little money on top of it. So yeah, but interesting.
Yeah, so another everyday issue for the common man, and that's credit card debt. Ooh-wee, how deep of a hole have you dug yourself with this credit card debt, guys? I'm guessing, and Rotary, you don't have to answer this, but I'm guessing you don't have any credit card debt, my friend. I feel like if you do, you're on top of it, you're paying your bills, and you're not worried about that.
Yeah, yeah, I've got that for the most part pretty well figured out. There have been a couple of like here and there. So I don't carry a balance on anything on a month to month basis. But sometimes that might fluctuate a little bit. Like for example, I have a credit card for my business. I'm about to order like $10,000 in parts for this car that I'm building, and depending on whether or not that vehicle is complete, before the end of the month, there's a chance that might carry over a little bit. But yeah, nothing crazy. So
Yeah, for years I was like that. I had great credit. I mean, I'm talking over 800 and,
yeah,
life just happens and,
yeah, it does.
you end up the thing that's rough is when you fall and you're getting back up, you keep getting kicked and you have to keep getting up because once you fall, it's hard to get back up. So, I mean,
Yep.
I had it all, right? And well, one day I didn't. And not only did I not have it, I owed a lot of it. And it's been one heck of a ride to climb out of, but it's happening. I'm getting there. And
Yeah.
it has showed me that stuff happens. Because before that I was like, "Oh, just go get a job," like
Right.
it's pretty simple. And yes, to an extent it's simple, right? Work hard, get what you want, manifest whatever you want to call it, but you work towards a goal and you get it.
Yep.
So I see the side where people go through rough times and it just gets tough, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I've
Nova,
certainly.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say I've certainly been there before, and thankful that I'm not anymore, and working towards the direction I'm pretty excited about. So
That's
yeah,
what's up. So, Nova 2, what is it that you screwed up? What's your biggest stress? And Daver Davermson? Life still happening. Yes, life goes on. No matter
that,
what, it
that's,
just keeps on ticking unless it stops, then you're done. See ya.
yep,
That could be another common issue. I mean, okay, so that's one that gets me too, is the whole what do you call it when somebody passes and they celebrate their life supposedly? A funeral.
yeah, funeral or celebration of life or some combination of both. Yeah,
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 the funeral thing, people like go broke putting
oh
on a
yeah,
funeral, and
yeah,
I don't get that. I'm sorry, but I don't get it. I you could throw me out in the back, let the worms take over, and just keep on going with your life because
yeah,
that's what that's what happens, right?
yeah.
By no means am I telling people what to do when I go because quite frankly, it's none of my business. I'm gone. You do
I
what
you
you
know
want.
Yeah, I think exactly the same way in that regard. Actually, yeah, people. I don't remember who the last person I had this conversation with was, but it was a while ago. But yeah, my thing is I'm not going to be around to care what happens. So yeah, it has nothing to do with me. Won't have anything to do with me. So yeah, whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens. And no offense, guys, but I'm not going to your funeral. Whoever you are, wherever you're at, I'm not going.
Yeah,
And to all the people that think one way or the other about it, that's your prerogative. Uh, I actually didn't go to the last one that I know of. I haven't dealt with much death in my life. I have a couple times in the past and then recently, and I don't go. I don't go to the funerals. I have when I was younger, but
yeah.
I'm not interested. Dave's in the chat. Welcome, Dave. Nova, Jaw, what did you just wait for it to fall off? What do you mean? Oh, actually, Nova, got a funny story. If you ever get a car and you can't pay the bill, what happens is they try to repo it and they call you and they call you and you tell them, hey, go do your job. I'm not going to do it for you. Find the car. And you just park it somewhere and they just happen to never find it. One day, if your name is on that title and or on the loan and the title as a partial owner. I forget how they do it, but
Yeah.
you're the owner and they're the lien holder, I think is how it works.
Yes. Yeah. So there's an electronic hold filed with whatever county you're in as a lien holder. But so yeah, your name's on the title, and then the electronic hold is designated to whatever financial entity owns the debt. But
So
yeah,
once years have passed by and they no longer uh, want to deal with it and they write it off or whatever they do, you
yeah,
will end up getting that title in the mail. As long as you're still at
yeah,
the address, you'll get it. And it's a very rewarding opportunity when times are rough. You went 5 years, you didn't pay for it. It was just sitting there and you couldn't use it because you knew somebody would take it. And then bam, you get the title in the mail. You get an oil change, you clean it down, and you start rolling. How awesome is that? Oh, don't forget a new battery. Probably going to need a new battery and some new tires.
yeah. I'd imagine.
So I know a guy that happened to, and it really helped him out. And now he has a vehicle to drive, and he doesn't have a payment.
Cool.
Dave says, I hate going to funerals. I'd rather remember you the way you were alive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
My last memory is going to be the memory that I hung out with them, not the embalmment and the open casket and then a whole bunch of people crying around because they didn't spend time with you when you were actually alive and now they miss you type of deal. So, yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I like the comments, guys. For everybody on Rumble and YouTube, thanks for being in here. I'm surprised that there's still people on TikTok, but we love you. TikTok has been great. Just Speak Up is the podcast, and what I want to do is encourage you to use your voice to make the world a better place. And believe me, it's in you somewhere deep down in. Show the world. So, Rotary,
yeah.
what is the most common issue that the average American goes through, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I suppose I don't know where I would really even begin to attempt to answer that. I
Well, okay,
suppose.
let me help you a little bit. Okay, so
Yeah,
I understand that you don't exactly know the answer to this. Nobody probably does. But if you were to just take all the information that you've received from others, hearing them, seeing them, even the news and the world around you, if you had to guess one very common issue, what would that be?
well, honestly, and I don't. Yeah, I guess this isn't. That's not kind of along the lines of what we were talking about previously, but um, probably at least that I've seen in my own life, mental health stuff and
Mm.
like substance abuse, that type of stuff. Uh,
Dave just brought up drug addiction, which
yeah, yeah,
wow. That's actually huge. I would say
yes, it
yes.
is.
One of
Yeah,
the most common thing happening, and it's happening to the, homeless person in the creek, and it's happening to the senators and politicians in government. I mean, it's
yeah,
everywhere. The doctors that are prescribing them and the people that are being prescribed.
yeah.
Ooh. I mean, it's a co I mean, have you don't have to answer this, Rotary, but have you ever dealt with drug addiction?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have. Yeah. So I, I guess I don't know. Well, this is interesting. We're not on TikTok, so I suppose I can probably
You
say
can
a little bit
say it.
more about that. 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a very very different position than I am now, and a big part of that was dealing with some physical dependencies on some really kind of not good stuff. I had a kind of series of like properly bad, couple of had a really really rough kind of year in high school, and I just sort of fell off the deep end and didn't care about anything. I was like, fuck it, might as well try like literally anything I can get my hands on, and um,
Literally,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and I
How'd you
yeah,
get out of it?
so and this, I legitimately don't think I probably would have to this day if this hadn't happened. But I was presented the opportunity to go work for a rotary performance shop over in Illinois, and I had no idea how I was going to pull that off. But I had an uncle that lived over there, and I called him, and he was like, "Hey, you can come sleep on my couch," and like. I just kind of threw all my shit in a car and went over there, and I completely uprooted my entire life. I got out of the city that I was living in, and just never looked back.
So, a
Yeah, I had
job
to,
offer helped you and then a move, and then
that was the at that point in my life I was kind of taking a look around and going, holy shit, what am I doing here? Like kind of a waking up every day and like legitimately not having the slightest clue as to like what is going to happen that day, and like finding myself on a pretty consistent basis going, holy shit, I do not want to be doing any of this at all. And then that sort of just kind of fell into my lap, and that was the kind of the final, like, yes, I'm doing this, I'm going to do it. And yeah, just uprooted my entire life and just took
I
off, disappeared
finally
all the
I
um,
finally got to that point too where I was waking up every day and I was like, "Why am I doing
oh
this?
yeah,
I am not enjoying this, yet I still keep doing this to
yeah,
myself." So, DCB is in the chat, said that you had a problem with alcohol. I never really had a problem with alcohol, although I did stop doing it, just because I realized it was a poison and it made me make dumb decisions, and also I have 2 children that I wanna set a good example for, and I don't wanna be that guy that tells them not to do it and then is the one doing it. I
yeah.
I don't feel that that's parenting. I think you live the example that you want them to emulate, so I do my best. Dave had an issue with, ooh, the big old H word. That's a rough one.
Oh yeah,
That's a
oh
rough
dude,
one. So, to share a little bit about mine, this is truly one of the biggest problems that's happening in the community. You see it on TV, you see it in the news, you hear about it in the news, the people are talking about it, and you notice them. But it's substances such as painkillers, prescription pills, and then all of a sudden you get some fake stuff because you got to get your fixed and you can't spend it on the expensive ones, and you find some cool deal. Next thing you know, you're nodding out at the gas station. Um, all
yeah,
yes, Janet. I also agree that alcohol is a drug. Um, Pain pills are what got me, and then once those started to become less seen, everything else was a go because I didn't wanna feel that sickness, like, when you come chemically dependent on these things,
oh
it's
yeah,
a rough life, dude, and I'll tell you what, you will do anything you get your hands on, and,
oh yeah,
I got sick of it. Like you said, I started to look myself in
yeah,
the mirror and not notice the person. I started to realize what was happening to my mind and the people around me. And I finally realized I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not being a good dad right now. And don't get me wrong, I've always been a good dad, but not as good as I could be, and that's what got me. Once I realized I wasn't paying as much attention to my children as I wanted to, I was like, oh, nope, time to go. Let's do this. And now let's get to the how. How I did it, me and God and me showed me the way, and I didn't want help from anybody else. Now, I'm not saying that people didn't help me as life happened, but I didn't go to a program or a rehab. As a matter of fact, I kept telling myself if I didn't quit, then I would have to. and that was like my punishment. So I didn't wanna deal with that. And I realized I'm like, "Dude, I'm strong, dude. I could do this myself." And I will just throw in there, herbs are healing. So, uh, I don't know why I always feel the need to say that, but I think that a lot of people when they're quitting and, they're going through these issues, a lot of people will give them a hard time if they're still partaking in the herbs, and, it can't be farther from the truth, man. That stuff will help you, through all of it, through the thick and the thin, and make you feel good along the way, man. What do you think about that, Rotary? Do you think that's an issue?
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, so that was kind of a part of the thing with me as well. I used to, I mean, kind of similar deal, literally whatever I could get my hands on. But the two that became a regular part of my everyday life continuously were alcohol and cocaine,
Mm,
and that just sort of became the person I was. It's a weird thing. It's like there's no after a while there isn't really a like there's no normal version of you anymore. It's like either you have it and you're in that state, or you're wanting it or needing it. And I used to go on these dude, I used to go on these like crazy 2 3 day long benders like without sleeping, and I'd like end up off in some different state over the weekend doing some random bullshit with people I met a day ago, and then like just like finally crashing out and then waking up the next morning feeling like my head got run over by a fucking semi truck. And yeah,
oof.
I don't miss any of that at all. But yeah, no, specifically marijuana I think was pretty majorly helpful in getting all of that settled out. And that is something that you can't form a physical dependency on. Now, you can still become theoretically addicted to that as like a behavioral thing, as like a mental thing, but there's no physical dependency on that. You won't become physically ill from stopping doing that. And so, yeah, so that was a little bit of um, kind of the process by which eventually, and like when I left, that like properly getting sober did not happen immediately at all. I tried and failed and tried and failed over and over. I don't even know how many times eventually I got plugged in with some very very good people over there, and got with a sponsor, and yeah, yeah, eventually
The
made
the
it happen.
trying and the trying, actually rings a bell for me because it took me probably a good well, I knew the whole time I shouldn't be doing it, but once I actually realized I didn't wanna do it no more, it probably took me about 3 months, and most of it was because I had to wean myself
Yeah,
because the problem was actually prescription type stuff, and dude, that could be 30 days curled up in a ball sweating, like, literally.
yeah,
And it was just like, finally, I was just so sick of it, dude. I stopped chasing it and I just would cut them all up into little tiny pieces. And just whenever I felt a certain kind of way, I'd take a little bit. And then along the way, I had stopped with the herbs because, I was chasing that other thing. And
yeah,
then finally, when I was quitting all that nonsense, the herbs came back around and it started to really help me not think about it, like I
yeah.
was able to, get in my own mind because herbs help you meditate, right? They help you get into your mind if you utilize them properly, of
Right.
course. So when I think of that, I'm just grateful for such a plant. Yeah. So I would say that and look, if you notice, guys, if you're here live in the chat, this is something that many can relate on the topic, whether they've went through it in their personal life or seen others go through it. I think everybody's dealt with it. So I wonder if we just change the addiction from one thing to another. That's an argument that we could discuss for a while. It's a huge topic. Rehab didn't help me. It was the same cliche catchphrases, not wanting to lose my newfound family. My life didn't matter. Theirs did. So I missed it. I missed it. Oh, because other ones came up. Oh, so I stopped, stayed sick, and got better. Ooh, congratulations, man. Don't let the lie that God can't help you out of your addiction be the cause for you to stop trying and asking for his help. Ooh. Wow. I love that one actually. On a whole 'nother note, I heard today a guy say how much he didn't believe in God. And so what he did is every day he started praying. God, I don't believe in you, but if you're real, then this and that and that. And he did it
Right.
every day for like 60 days. And one day he said he got it.
Huh.
That was cool. I don't know what made
That's
me think of
wild.
that.
Huh.
So I used to say that too, like all my life, actually. I was like, if you're real, show me. And he didn't show me till I was like 36. When he did, boy, was it cool, bro.
Yeah.
Janet Rogers says your headspace was right. First? Question mark. I don't get that. Do you get that? Rotary?
So I think maybe what she's referring to, the process of uh, getting, sober when you're physically addicted to something, is one hell of a mountain to climb. And in order for that to even be a possibility in the first place, you have to be wanting that change. And that's like one of the hardest parts, or at least in my experience, that was one of the hardest parts of actually doing it. Because it's one of those, like, the thing kind of eats away at the corners of your mind. Like, I couldn't do the like slowly cutting back thing at all. Like, I couldn't do that at all. I just keep telling myself, like, oh, like, I'll start doing a little less of this here or there. But then it just kind of never really worked out that way. Or one day I managed to cut back a little bit and I go, okay, yeah, like, I'm doing good today, but then tomorrow it'd be the same thing again. And
Yeah.
I'd be thinking about it and I'd be like, oh, like, I was, like, right now isn't a convenient time for me to stop doing this. Right now isn't a convenient time. And so I could be totally wrong, but in reading that, yeah, my take on that would be, you have to recognize that it's a serious problem, and, like, you have to get serious about doing it. So,
So,
yeah.
and I think so that's the thing, right? Is that's kind of where God comes in and helps you because so the way I see it, from my life experience, maybe I'm wrong, but from my life experience, what I've noticed is God helps you in spirit, right? So he helps you inside of your soul, your heart, your mind, and allows you to go from there. So that's why we don't see the whole world getting fixed at a snap of a finger, right? Because it's free will and we're here to do this working together according to the rules of creation. So when I think of the headspace, that was him showing me like, hey, there's a good life out there if you really want it. Go seek it. Go look for it. Go live it, you know. But by that point, society beats you down, bro.
Yeah.
And that's why we're sitting here talking today and talking about today's issues for the common man. It all has to do, in my opinion, with the system that we have in place to guide us in our life. It's a crazy thing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. I think a big part of it for me too is, like, even after having made that resolution at one point, um, it's kind of like when people make New Year's resolutions, like, oh, I'm going to start going to the gym, and then they do it 3 times, and then never again after that, type of thing. But just a lot more at stake there, sort of deal. And a big part of it for me was I had to be reconvinced to care about life in some meaningful way. And I think the first part of that was like the allure of the opportunity that I was presented there. That was kind of the, like, okay, like, maybe I am really going to go do this and like try to get my shit together and go like live a normal life somewhere. And then after that, um, just having picking the pieces of the world back up and trying to reassemble something out of it is a lot less terrible when it's a community effort. And that was a huge blessing for me to be able to connect with the people that I did over there. And yeah, I don't think, were it not for that, and then coming at the same, and this is right around the same time, coming to a personal relationship with God. I don't think I would have been able to do it on my own.
Yeah, not only that is I wouldn't not only could I not have done it on my own, which I did as I already said, but is it really on my own with God showing me? But anyways, um not only that, but now I actually have a meaning or a idea of what I want in life.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
not on, and it also keeps me going because sometimes the way this world is, like, I wonder, like, why? Like, why does it even
yeah,
matter to still try or keep going? But I have realized you can't quit, right? Because you actually regress. If you quit in life, you're regressing and you're making it worse for yourself.
sure,
So there is no quitting. You've gotta keep going, and you will keep going. So, uh, good luck with that whole quitting thing, because I don't think it's really even possible, and I'm not talking about quitting bad habits, I'm talking about quitting in life, which I think about very often. I'm like, "Why do I do this? Why?" So, the comments are awesome. One of the biggest distractions are religious organizations and the followers battling each other on who is right and who is wrong. Okay, that's actually another very common issue that happens to the common man. And it is arguing and debating about who is right about your religious beliefs. Whew, that one is silly to me. Of course, I have my beliefs and the things that I know about religion and or spirituality, whatever you want to call it. But man, the last thing I'm going to do is argue about who's right and who's wrong. If you want to discuss this, let's discuss this. I call it reasoning. I'll share mine, you share yours. We'll see if somebody changed their mind. And if they don't, hey, we're going to keep trotting. Life goes on. What's your take on that, Rotary, on this particular comment? Do you feel that that's a common issue that we deal with?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've certainly seen a lot of that myself, and especially a lot of it on like TikTok specifically. And I don't know if that's just a result of like the specific like kind of crowd that I've fallen in with over there, but I absolutely love like discussing theological beliefs and ideas with people in a constructive way, so to speak. And it's like iron sharpens iron. I find it to be quite useful in the
Yes.
pursuit of, yeah, I find it to be quite useful in the pursuit of knowledge. And but at the same time, I do oftentimes see a lot of that. Like people of two different religious practices will be just getting absolutely belligerent with each other, and then the name calling and all of this back and forth because they feel personally attacked that somebody has a different belief than them, and like maybe that person wasn't very nice about it. And so like I can see, it's certainly been my experience that it looks as though sometimes those conversations can go south pretty easily. Um, and when
The
that happens, the thing is, it's like neither person learns anything from that at all.
Well, it's because that the pride and the ego is in the way,
Yeah,
right? 'Cause
Right.
it's truly one of the best ways to learn, and it's probably my favorite topic to discuss is
Yeah.
spirituality and theology. I love learning about all religions, and
Yeah.
what I notice is if somebody doesn't have good intentions and they're
Yeah.
just trying to be right because they think they know it all, it's like you said, nothing gets learned, right? No,
Right.
and not to mention, who's gonna really listen to somebody? I personally have no desire to convert anybody, and quite frankly, if you can be converted, you probably wanna double check both of the things that you believe in because, I just I don't feel that that's possible. Now, there's one thing that I do know is God can show you the truth. Now, if you actually can build that relationship where you trust yourself and you have that relationship with the Most High, then you could be on your way to learning. And um, I have the intention to gain knowledge and to share what I've learned in this life experience. But the one thing that I will say is, look, my mind is always willing to be changed. If somebody can show me and I go back and I double check it within and I see how right you are, whew, next thing you know, I went from yelling the sky is red. Now all of a sudden I'm yelling the sky is blue, and tomorrow if you show me the sky is purple, man, I'm gonna holler that and I'm gonna let you know what I learned.
Yeah, that's actually like something approximating the best possible outcome, in my opinion. I want to continuously take the ideas and beliefs that I have and sort of bash them against the rocks, so to speaking, and or so to speak, and and see what remains, what properly holds up to scrutiny, and what works, in all situations, and um, perhaps in having a debate back and forth with somebody, maybe you learn that there's some, part of your own argument that you're making that you realize you don't really believe, or maybe somebody makes a point contrary to that you find to be particularly interesting, and you look into it and end up changing your mind a little bit on something, and that's like the execution of like the greatest possible utility of a debate, in my opinion. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and that's when it becomes very useful, purposeful, meaningful when
Yeah.
that's why somebody would watch a debate, right?
Right.
Um, so especially from that, maybe the people in the debate are trying to prove each other wrong or might have that whole ego thing that we're talking about, but when I watch a debate, I get to see it from an outside perspective. And quite frankly, I don't care who's right or wrong. I just want to learn what both of these individuals have to share, and then I'll
Yeah.
see how it sits with my mind.
Right.
So I personally, that's one of the reasons why I'm on TikTok for many other reasons, but I welcome people in, and at first they seem like they have to be defensive, and then they realize it's not that type of space. Like we're all here to learn from one another, and we're willing to listen. Now, every once in a while, we get some people that aren't, and we all know how that goes. Give them a few minutes, doesn't work out, they're gone. But TikTok has been a great way to meet people like that, such as yourself, and hopefully you feel the same way about me. I mean, you are here
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Pretty awesome.
yeah, so is theology one of your favorite topics to, study?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it is. I suppose in some sense I would say that I have an appreciation for the pursuit of knowledge in all categories, but theological belief is certainly a topic I enjoy discussing. Yeah.
Nova says, "I agree with you, Jaw. We are always learning and growing. We are always learning and growing. We're like that sponge, right? Just soaking it all in." Well, I would say that's a huge, huge issue that the common man deals with. Absolutely, it is. Do we have one more topic? So grateful for your Nova. Thank you very much for showing your appreciation. I'm grateful for everybody watching If you're listening to this later on Spotify, watching it on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, TikTok, I appreciate you. Like, leave some comments, subscribe. I would love to see your comments later. For some reason, the live comments don't stick around, but if you go in there later and watch it and you leave some comments, I'd be very appreciative of that. Nova to you. I just want to say blessings, blessings, and more blessings. So, one more topic before we get going, Rotary. Let's see. Issues, today's issues of the common man. I'm going to give you, I have one in mind, but I want to give you a second and the comments a second to maybe bring something up. While the viewers think about it, I want to thank everybody for checking out the podcast. It's called Just Speak Up. We are on YouTube in the live section, and my tag name or username on all of my stuff except for Facebook is Jaw Bless I. Some of them are Jaw underscore Bless underscore I. But you can find me on TikTok there and Rumble, Jaw Bless I. On YouTube, you could find it Jobless I and or Just Speak Up. And on Facebook, you can find it by my name, which do your detective work and go check it out because I'm not giving it to you. Rotary, you got anything for me?
Well, I've got a couple of different ideas, but I'm not certain either one would be super appropriate for a closer. It's like,
So I'll go then.
yeah,
If you're hesitant about it, I'll go. So,
yeah.
and I just thought of this, and I actually love this one. So, a very common issue for the average person is they really care and they want to make a difference, but they feel like they can't, like they don't have a way to do it. And they're probably right to some extent. And I'll use myself as an example. I am one of those people, and I see that we need to come together and unify as a people and stop arguing about the distractions of society. And I will say that if you were to just speak up, it would be a start. So even if all you have is your voice, talk to somebody, let them know your ideas, your plans, your goals, or how much you care. And if you have a phone, hit record, make some content, tell the world how love conquers all because truly love conquers all. Um, John Lennon I saw him the other day said that they, whoever they are, could never win because love wins every time. So as much as they try, love wins in the end. They don't stand a chance. So you got a voice, just speak up. You got a phone, hit record, go live, tell the world what's on your mind. And if you know some people, start stepping up that ladder until you find these so called leaders and make a change, man. Go sit at a college with a chair and a microphone. Tell the world what you think. Because talks like this and others seeing it could really make a difference. And yes, Crystal Palace, love will find a way because, yeah, you know, it's always there, guys. And that's the real power of creation. So, what do you think, Rotary?
Yeah, I guess I'd agree. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's kind of, I think we all have a certain inclination to kind of look at the sheer magnitude of a lot of the problems that there are in the world, things that we'd like to be able to fix, and go, well, geez, what, I'm just one person. What can I do about that stuff that requires a lot of power, influence, money? But the reality is that's only going to remain to be the case as long as we all keep thinking that maybe it won't be solving world hunger tomorrow, but we all have the ability to go out into the world each day, and act as though we believe that the nature of being is good, and hopefully that rubs off on somebody else, and they're on so forth. And we all have the ability, far more so than we realize, to create radical positive change within our own lives, and in doing so, positively impact the lives of those around us. And so, yeah, it's sometimes you have to start really, really, really small. But you ever like, when you were a kid and you find like a sledding hill somewhere, and you ball up a little snow, maybe you ball up a little snowball in your hand and you start rolling it around on the ground, and it gets a little bigger and a little bigger, and at some point you take the thing and you push it over the top part of the hill, and it rolls down, and all of a sudden this thing is picking up pounds of snow, and you have this gigantic ball of snow by the time it gets to the bottom of this thing rolling down. And that is exactly the type of effect that we can have in the world,
So
regardless of how. Yeah,
I gotta say, you're right, and all I can think about is, when you affect people in that positive way, it's that butterfly effect because then they go and they do something similar, but in their own unique fashion.
yeah,
And I say it all the time, you never know whose fire you're gonna ignite,
yeah,
whose light that you're gonna start within them and what they could do to change the world. And honestly, I used to feel like I wanted to save the world and change it for this or that, and now I just want you to do it. Like,
yeah,
so,
yeah,
and I say that kind of jokingly because I'm gonna do my best.
right,
But imagine, man, if every single person was to dig deep and truly do what they can because they cared, the world would be a different place.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely,
plain and simple.
yeah,
And we're doing it. We're doing
yeah.
it, guys.
We're
So,
here doing it right now.
yeah, absolutely, and there's so many more like us all around the globe, and that's one thing that I am finding is people are using their devices in such a manner. The phone, it's a dangerous thing, right? Um, that thing could wreck you or save somebody, and it just depends on how you utilize it. So one of my goals is to utilize it to make the world a better place and not so much just get stuck scrolling, although I do doom scroll sometimes, dude. I do.
Yeah,
I do. I've learned a lot on social media from people who care, and spiritual growth is one of those things. So, I would ask, it's somewhat off topic, but do you feel that there's been a huge spiritual awakening around the globe?
you
Do you
know,
think it's just kinda normal?
I guess I don't really know the answer to that question. I really haven't thought about that too much.
So, I know that for me, it happened about 5 years ago-ish,
Yeah,
and for the first 2 years was wild, wild, and then the last few years, I started to notice how many people out there are saying similar things, and maybe it's just because that's kinda what I started looking for, like-minded people to see, because for a while, bro, like, I didn't even know what spirituality was. Like, I never learned anything about it, and then all of a sudden, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. So now I'm, like, going around wondering how much people know, and your average everyday conversation doesn't go like your conversation on TikTok or your podcast. It's just not that. So, how many people have had such an experience in life that they realize there's a little more to life than what we
yeah,
see?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I suppose certainly something to contemplate.
Let's ask the chat before we go. So, we're wrapping it up, guys, and we want to know, everybody in the live, is there a spiritual awakening going on in these times? Is it something where people are being shown a different side of creation? Maybe we're getting in touch with our inner beings and we're going to make this world a better place. Because one thing I noticed when people have their spiritual awakening, they generally tend to care more about humanity and the people around them.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes people are a little pushy and they want to, push their beliefs upon others, but
all right,
generally speaking, they care a little more.
yeah. Yeah, and I can sort of understand that inclination a little bit just because it's like holy shit, this is the best thing ever, like something approximating the true nature of being, and that's incredibly important. Like the importance of that can't possibly be overstated, and I want everybody to know this, type of thing. So I can
Yeah.
certainly see where those people come from, but at the same time, attempting to do that like mechanically is often not a very effective thing to try and do. Like especially just like showing up and hey, what's up? Random person I don't know. Otherwise, everything you believe is wrong, and here's why. Um,
So
you know,
Dude, for, like, the first year, I felt like I needed to tell everybody, and they needed to know, and then it took me a little bit of time, but then I realized I'm like, "Whoa, I can't, like, show them all of these things. They have to find it for themselves." And it's truly something one must experience, right? Nova 2 says, absolutely, there is such a thing going on around the world. They also say mine was just a little over a year ago. Um, People are starting to understand something different than what they thought, says DCB. Some are so far from what is good, while others are spot on. And Janet Rogers says, absolutely a huge awareness now. I'm from the 70s when almost nobody was aware. That's an interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that, Janet. Well, I know that you have some sort of spiritual essence awareness, Rotary. We've discussed that a little bit.
yeah.
Um, so was it something that just popped up one day, or have you always kind of known it and been, like, in it?
Well, I
So,
yeah. So there.
be
I wouldn't say that I've always known. Definitely not. I grew up in the church. Was raised in the church. My dad was a pastor with the RCA for the longest time, and um, but I wouldn't say that I ever had like a personal relationship with God or anything like that. And for the longest time, and really up until it was about 4 or 5 years ago, my general take on everything was, well, we can't really know for sure because I wanted like scientific evidence of the existence of God, which it's like, well, that's like what type of a burden of proof is that? It's like that's like saying
Yeah.
I won't believe that this fish is real until the fish files my taxes. Like what type of statement is that? But anyway, I and then I back in 2017, I lost somebody that was I was really close with, and that really kind of properly dismantled the worldview that I had had previously, and I became quite nihilistic for a long time after that. And for a little while, somewhere in there, I think I would have been able to more accurately describe my outlook on that is like, the typical atheistic criticism, like, oh well, if there's a God that's all good, then how can he be all powerful? And if he's all powerful, then certainly he's not all good, because look at the suffering in the world and whatnot. And then shortly thereafter, about 6 months later, without going into too deep detail, I guess, I found myself in a very sticky situation, so to speak. And uh, in short, I guess I survived something that I absolutely should not have, like by any logical means. Like I would imagine, if you look at the total percentage of people who have been through that specific type of an event, the total number of people who live, rounded to the closest whole percentage, is probably zero.
Wow.
And in that moment, that was I experienced something that not only are there not words in the English language to properly be able to describe, but I suspect that an accurate description would be outside the bounds of spoken language altogether. And I don't even really 100% understand what exactly that means. But, and it, yeah,
It's
I really,
you're right, dude, because
yeah,
I there's no words that can truly explain what I
yeah,
experienced. Like, the
yeah,
it's not possible.
yeah,
Um, every time I tell my story too, I, like, realize how much I have left out every time before.
yeah,
It's insane, dude.
yeah.
It's
And what's interesting too is that wasn't immediately like a come to Jesus moment, so to speak. I was at that time, I was like incredibly lost otherwise, and like I was the uh like I had no idea what to make of that at all for like years following. Like that was like a holy shit, what in the fuck was that, type of thing.
right.
And throughout over the years of replaying that event, over and over again in my head, and attempting to process that, and extract all of the useful information that I can from that event. I feel that I've perhaps come to a little bit better of an understanding, but I still really don't have a proper explanation for that at
So,
all.
do you
Um,
still? Because for me, every once in a while, all of a sudden, I'll have a aha moment, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that's what that meant," or "That's what that was." And it's just referring back to when, I had this calling, or when I was born again, or whatever you call it, but I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Uh, so I have those moments often. Dave says, "I believe so. Most are seeing that the narrative is incorrect and the energy of creation works." Interesting comment. Interesting comment. So Dave definitely believes that there is an awakening taking place here on planet Earth. Well, here we go, Rotary. So I think, unless you have a pressing comment or issue that you want to discuss, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
don't think so. Don't think so. Yeah, it's a good conversation as always.
Yeah, no, it really
Yeah,
was. I
someday.
definitely appreciate you being here. I enjoyed it very much, actually. Um, I like with leaving the conversation open and not having a sketch, so to speak, because
Yeah,
it creates a great a creative, organic conversation, and our minds just allow it to happen in time, like in right now time.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
for
pretty
sure.
cool.
Yeah,
I want to take a second to thank everybody. Rotary, thank you for being here with me. You can find the
yeah.
Rotary
Thanks
Doc
for having me.
on Facebook. You can find him on TikTok, and, can you find him on YouTube?
Yes, yeah. So the YouTube channel is called Cars and Stuff. It's just cars space and space stuff. It might not be the first one that comes up when you search that name. I only have like 120 something subscribers, but yeah, yep.
That's all I have is 120 something subscribers, but if you wanna be the 122nd something-ish, go ahead and hit that subscribe now.
Oh, I
Hit the like. If you've made it all the way to this part of the podcast, leave a comment, not on the live, but in the actual video. You could find me on at Jobless I on TikTok, on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Facebook. My name, Figure It Out. Thank you so much for everybody that is coming in and leaving comments. I really can't express my gratitude enough. And until the next time, one love, be blessed, and remember, just speak up.